Hi, my name is Jerry Smith, the old dude. I've been building and flying model airplanes all my life. Now at 87, I can still do it. The Lord has been good to me. Today I'm going to show you how I cover an airplane with film covering. Some of you have never done it, while others haven't covered for a long time between builds. It is a skill that has to be acquired by doing. However, having covered airplanes with this material before will help. So let's get started. First decide what covering material you will use, whether it be Ultracoat, Monocoat, solar film for the larger airplanes, and for the smaller, lighter airplanes you might consider using Solite or Nelson's light film. These seem to be a popular covering material for the small airplanes. When you decide what you want, read the instructions, because that will be helpful to you. Reading the instructions also tells you the temperatures that are required for sealing and shrinking the covering material itself. So it's a good idea. I generally set my iron for about 225, and for the sealing, and about 300 for the shrinking. Manage your covering material so that you don't waste it. This stuff is expensive, and it just seems like you go through it in a hurry. When you just walk into a roll and chop away and pick out a chunk. But generally, it's a good idea to manage it, and to be a little bit frugal with the material itself. Use a covering iron sock. I have one of Tony's iron covering socks on my iron, and I find it really helps. It does a nice job. They last a long time. They're double layered, and it really does help you in your covering. Sanding the airframe to cover. It's a good idea to spend some time shaping and sanding your airframe. Now, typically, I spend a lot more time doing this than I do building. And other modelers have the various degrees of perfection. Mine seems to be kind of high, and I'm just kind of a nut about getting parts sanded real well so that they look good once you put the covering on them. So anyhow, good housekeeping rules are a must if you're going to want a good covering job. I use a vacuum, and I vacuum it, or sometimes I'll use a tack rag and go over the parts themselves to get rid of all the dust and dirt that might show up through the covering. Also the workbench, don't forget that needs to be clean as well. Now, in order to lay out I always lay out my parts on the film first. And what I do is I lay the film on the back side I lay the part on the back side of the film, and then I take a pin and I draw around it. In doing so, it gives me the outline of the part that I have to cover. Then with my scissors, I cut about a 1-inch margin around the part itself. This allows me to grip the material and arrange it so that I can have enough room to do so. And also, it keeps you from having a lot of waste. So anyhow, after cutting out all the parts and leaving my 1-inch margin, I remove the backing from the material. Now, in removing the backing, I always kind of thumb it. I call thumbing it, and you can release some of it, and then actually you can pull the backing off. And here you can see the outline of my part. So placing the part on the airframe, I center it so that I have that margin that I left for myself all the way around it. Alright, now in order to seal the material to the airframe, I touch one end with the iron, leave it on a little while so that it tacks it pretty good. I go to the other end and I tack it with the iron. You have to leave the iron on a little while for the heat to transfer. Then I go to the middle and I tack the material on here, and then the other side, and I tack the material on here. Now, as you can see, by doing this, what you've done is you've actually laid the material on and kept it flat without wrinkles and so on. Then I generally go to the end and pull in this direction, and then tack it here, and then down here at this end and tack it, and also in this corner we'll tack it slightly, as well as this. And remember, we're pulling in this direction, we're pulling out that way, tack in this direction. Now we have it pretty well arranged, and as you can see, there isn't a lot of wrinkles or anything. It's laid pretty flat. Then you can, if you take a motion with your iron, you can actually seal it down as like so, and take the ends and seal them, and use this motion again like I'm showing you, and tack or seal the material down here on this edge. Now you'll notice here we've got some corners, and these corners will take some different application to actually get them to look nice. What I do is I take my iron, just the tip of it, and I roll it around the corners like this to get them started. As you can see, it begins to show through on the other side actually what you're doing. Same on this corner right here. You begin to, now if you go too far with it, the material will begin to gather and overlap itself, and you don't want it to do that, okay? So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to trim off some of the back of this material right here and show you how I treat these corners. I'll trim off this material here. Now here again, I'm ironing over so that I have a good flange right here to work with. And the idea is to keep this flange very short if you can, so it'll cut a lot easier. You can, I also have what I call here is my trimmer, and I've modified it somewhat, and you can start right here with it and go right in, and you can trim right along real good with it. And I don't go to the end, but what I do is I leave a little bit for me to grab onto, to show you what I'm going to do. Okay, I just wanted to show you this trimmer because how nice it works and how nice it leaves an edge. If you iron over what you see right here, you're going to see a nice edge that you leave with the trimmer. Now, in order to do the corners here that we talked about, I lay a weight. this is a sock that I have some weights in it. I lay it down and I hang the part over the bench so that I have some clearance here. Then I take my heat gun, and I have a little pulling tool here that I've acquired so many years ago, and I don't know where I got it, but it really helps. You can also do this with a glove, and so you don't burn your fingers. But what I do is I put it in, and then I turn on my heat gun, and I pull and wrap it around. Let it set for a little bit to cool, take it off, and then grab it at another spot and pull it down there. The stuff is very, very flexible and rubbery when it's heated. Come on, gun, get off. It's a good idea to let it cool a little bit. Then I'll grab it over here on this side, and we'll give it some more heat and pull it around and under. Let it cool a little bit. Now, as you can see how nice that looks. It's been pulled around, it doesn't gather as much. When it comes time to trim it, I lay my scissors on it like so and walk around it, and actually you can trim off the whole end. Now when you iron it down to seal it, you want to work it like so that you don't have all those gathering spots. And there you can see that you have a very nice corner that doesn't have all the wrinkles and so on.